This is the High Flying Podcast where we be drop kicking it with the boys. So make sure to body slam that like, share, and subscribe button. I am your host, Biggie Bag Johnny, back with another video. And today we doing another one of my favorites, Darkside of the Ring. Now I was peeping this before we got on. I was doing a whole bunch of little technology stuff. And let me tell you how much I hate this stuff, all right? I don't have a team, and I don't have a bunch of people helping me, and I don't have the fucking technology smarts to really be up on game on this podcast shit. So you motherfuckers get what the fuck I can put out. All right? Because I'm doing this shit by myself. Nobody really wants to help or anything. So we just doing this shit for fun. Unfortunately, with it being fun, shit gets taken out all the time. All the fun gets fucking taken out because we're doing hard work from the fucking bottom in the High Flying Podcast. I fucking hate everybody, okay? When I say everybody, I'm talking about everybody in my city. I'm talking about everybody that I've asked to help that didn't help. Everybody that asked that was here, that fucking was here for the free weed and money and shit like that, and then dipped off as soon as motherfucking shit. As soon as I told motherfuckers to start working, they fucking dipped off. So, fuck everybody. I got my new belt. It's not new, but you know, it's back in the family. We're back in business. We're back into the belt collecting. Alright, so we got a lot of shit going on. So, as of right now, we're watching Darkside of the Ring with Adrian Adonis. We did a couple episodes before, and for some fucking reason, they didn't fucking register. Hulu banned my shit, even though these shits are on fucking YouTube. I was trying to give you guys the good experience, but fuck it. You know, we have some shit coming up. I don't even want to fucking explain what the fuck is coming up. Because who the fuck knows what's going to come up with this fucking thing here. Alright? So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this show. I'm going to give you some opinion that I have towards the guy. And we're going to fucking enjoy it, okay? We're going to enjoy it. So everybody that's watching with me, this is my setup. This is my new setup. I'm on OBS. I'm trying to learn shit. Shouts out to everybody that's been helping. Excuse me. Everybody that's been trying to help, you know, giving me the whole, I hate asking for help about the podcast shit, because when I ask for help, that means I actually want you niggas to come through, let me pay you, and you do it. But no, everybody says, hey, just watch YouTube. And that doesn't always fucking work. So, with that being said, this is the premiere of Darkside of the Ring with Adrian Adonis. I really don't know nothing about the dude other than there's a couple producers named up after him. I know that he was like a bodybuilder or some shit like that. So we're going to learn. If you don't know, you're going to learn. If you do know, put it in the comment sections what's good, because I'm fucking clueless. On top of being clueless of the wrestlers, I'm clueless on this stupid ass fucking thing right here. I am upset. It is 10:09 in the morning. I've been at this since 9 o'clock. I took a shower. I took my dogs out. Got my girl ready for work. Did everything that I'm supposed to do. I haven't even smoked my blunt yet. I've come to the conclusion that maybe I need to stop smoking. But then this shit happens. Okay? My microphone went out. Don't know why it went out. Haven't used this fucking computer in about a week and a half. But for some reason, my shit was out. Alright. We fixed it. It's here. I'm not sure how it sounds. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure once this shit starts, it's going to fucking start glitching. But you know what? You motherfuckers is going to get what the fuck you get and like this shit.
Body that didn't look like it would be acrobatic. Look at that! And it was.
Unbelievable performer. Unbelievable.
His timing alone made him exceptional.
Oh, the dancing bear.
Look out! Upside down and out!
Tweedle toes, man. The guy could move like nothing.
And regardless what these fans think, Adrian Adonis is a devastating individual in that ring.
Adrian's provocative ability to push buttons and boundaries catapults him to the top of the card, earning him a coveted weekly segment known as the Flower Shop.
I feel the power.
You know, straight people hating gays was certainly the idea behind the gimmick. The business of pro wrestling was very, very stereotypical, and very often it would be
Business well enough so he knew what he had to do to make people hate him. And he did that.
There's not too much really that's adorable.
However, the star's flamboyant in-ring persona could hardly be more different from the reality of the man behind the character.
The black roots are showing in the hair. Is that
I'm natural. What are you talking about?
He wasn't a bullshit wrestler. He was a bona fide, legitimate, tough guy that had his fair number of street fights in his life.
I'm liking this already because I was watching this earlier, but I couldn't really like focus on it because I was dealing with everything here. I like this already because this is the time. Like now, this gimmick would have got over. This gimmick would have got over. You know, it would have just been a regular ass jobber. You know what I mean? But back in the days, total different story. You might have got stabbed. You might have got, you know, approached by a couple fucking fans. You know what I mean? This wasn't really allowed back in the days in the 80s and 70s and shit like that. So it's already getting interesting. So let's see where we're going with Adrian.
Lifetime. I'm Bret the Hitman Hart, 7-time WWE World Champion, WCW Champion, and a WWE Hall of Famer.
Just letting him use the fist.
Entitled bitch.
Look at that, Hitman, red hot.
And I'm a very close personal friend of the late Adrian Adonis.
Born Keith Frankie, the future Adrian Adonis grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Buffalo, New York.
He's bread and butter Buffalo, man, born and raised. We grew up on the west side of Buffalo, rough neighborhood, 90% Italian. I'd never seen him lose a fight in my life. As soon as he put that smirk on his face, you knew you better get the hell out of there or you're in trouble. My name is Anthony Gugino, and I'm a close friend of Keith Frankie, the wrestler. Adrian Adonis, as you would know him. You couldn't help love the guy, man. He had a heart of gold. I mean, he'd do anything for you. But if you crossed him, he'd pick you up and body slam you like that, like nothing. Keith was my local Brazzi. I'm 5'5", 120 pounds. He's 6'2", 240. And when someone owed me money, I just walked with Keith by me and said, "You got my money?" And they just looked and said, "Yeah."
He was what they call very...
Motherfucker, you 5'5", lending out money and had to go get your wrestling buddy to go handle your business. Obviously, my dude, you're not a good loan shark, okay? I don't know how this is going to turn dark, but yeah.
Very connected. You said, I'm with Adrian. It's like it meant you had a gold card to go wherever you wanted.
We started out as a high school fraternity, Kappa Beta. From there, we went to street gang. From street gang, we went to fighting with everybody. We were the baddest in Buffalo, so everybody had a target on us. Most of our guys became gangsters. But Keith had a purpose, and why waste your life fighting with these idiots when you could go and become something? He knew he had to make a move, and what he wanted was wrestling. You want something, Keith, you gotta go for it.
Dropping out of high school to focus on wrestling, Adrian brings his experience fighting in the streets to the squared circle.
I watched Adrian when he first started in Amarillo, Texas. I was about 15 or 16 then. Adrian announced to the audience that he would take on anybody in the building. It was advertised as, if you could stay in the ring with Adrian Adonis for 10 minutes, you could win $10,000. And they'd be about 4 or 5 guys that would...
Nope. Niggas don't... See, this is the thing about it, right? I don't give a fuck how in shape if you are. Or if you're not a professional athlete, motherfuckers be like, you know, that they could go and do boxing or, you know, wrestling fake or whatever like that. Motherfucker, you try to waste 10 minutes of your life just running around, right? Just fuck that. Run around your house for 3 whole minutes as fast as you fucking can. Run around the fucking house for 3 minutes and then try to pick up a 300-pound bag of laundry. Not even a fucking dead weight person. Laundry, my guy. See if it's possible. All right. I'm not fighting nobody for 10 minutes for $10,000. That's impossible. That's impossible. Unless you're a fucking athlete, bro. 10 minutes is a lifetime in a fight. Just letting you know. So he knew what he was doing. Now, if he would have said, yo, give me $10,000 for like maybe 5 minutes, I'm running around for the first 3, and then the next 2, I'm about to wail on this motherfucker. You feel me? But hey, he knew what he was doing. He knew 10 minutes what the difference was after that 3-minute mark in a fight, man. He knew what the fuck he was doing.
Come down and they'd interview them and talk to them while they're outside the ring, and then they would get in the ring. Adrian would knock them out cold. It gives you an idea of what Adrian was like. He was a fearless kind of guy.
So you have to be a pretty tough guy to take on all comers, fight fans for real. I mean, you know who the guy is. My name's Dave Meltzer. I'm the editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and I've been covering pro wrestling since 1971.
AKA the biggest piece of shit in the World Wrestling Federation, AKA WWE, AKA ECW, AKA WCW, AKA whatever wrestling program. This motherfucker is a rumor starter. He does not have his motherfucking facts checks in check. So fuck this dude, Dave Meltzer.
It wasn't enough to just out-wrestle the guy. He'll go and tell his friends, hey, I hung with the guy. It's like, you have to leave marks. You have to pound his face in or break a bone or something. And when he goes around town, it's less like, oh, God, those guys were killers, And Adrian was one of those guys.
In time, Adrian's size, look, and killer instinct lands him a spot in one of the most popular promotions in the business, Vern Gagne's American Wrestling Association.
We all knew what he was. He was great.
Greg!
I'm Greg Gagne. I wrestled for 18 years in the AWA. My father was Vern Gagne, a legend in the sport of professional wrestling. And Adrian came in, and Vern liked him right away, liked his presence in the ring. And eventually, they teamed him up with Jesse Ventura.
Somebody's gonna pay for this. Somebody's gonna pay dearly for this. Ain't that right, Adrian? Definitely so. Let me tell you something, Stanley Blackburn.
Jesse was the better talker of the two, but Adrian was not a bad talker. He was a good talker, and they played off each other really well. He wore the leather jacket, the New York Yankees insignia, which, in the Midwest, that's good for being a heel. The New York biker type guy going against your Midwest local heroes.
The Golden Boy, Adrian Adonis.
I've seen him live in the AWA with Greg Gagne and Jim Brown.
Everybody hates New York niggas, man. Just letting y'all know, man. I'm a New York nigga, so if you hate me, that's why.
And get punched and do these pirouettes and being whipped into the corner and do that flip that Ric Flair would do, and just making little Greg Gagne, thin guy, look like, badass of all badasses. Taking the drop kicks from Jim Brunzell. And it was really there where he went from being what I would call a really good wrestler to being a real star.
His bumps and his reaction and, his facial expression. And he was sort of that bully on the microphone.
Then a couple weeks ago, I heard Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson out here giving us a so-called challenge.
And he could back it up, so he was an exceptional talent.
Jumping Jim Brunzell.
I'm Jim Brunzell, otherwise known as Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. And I wrestled for 28 years. Adrian knew when to get heat, and then he knew when to give the babyface a comeback.
We were so proud of him. One of our guys was actually making to be a star. On TV, we're watching one of our friends. Grew up on the west side of Buffalo. When none of us had nothing, you have no idea the parties we were throwing.
After years of building a name for himself in the AWA and across the country, Adrian eventually signs with Vince McMahon's WWF.
I got scars on my face. I've had baseball bats across my shoulder.
By the time I got to the WWE in '84, I was nobody. I was a little fish in a big pond, and Adrian was a pretty big fish.
And look at confidence just oozing.
He knew everything about everything in the business. I tried to bond with him and become friends with him. I can remember going up to Adrian Adonis' room. Jim Nider told me to come up, and I can remember feeling kind of funny because I could tell like I wasn't welcome.
Because you are not cool. Let me tell you something. I respect Bret Hart because he is one of the greats, but
He doesn't trust being around me. I'm a promoter's kid. Probably going to tell on him.
Exactly. You're a fuck boy. You would have told on him, I believe.
And I can remember Jim peeping through the peek hole, and I could hear Adrian, it's Brett, don't let him in. And then I could hear Jim go, no, he's cool, he's totally cool, let him in. Well, I hear the chain come off, and Jim was like, come on in. Adrian, he's chopping up a bunch of cocaine on in the mirror, he's chopping it all up. A very telling kind of moment for me, because that opened the door for me to sit in a room with Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Iron Sheik. Like, for me, it was like sitting under the learning tree. I know I was doing lines of cocaine with all these guys till 4.
He's lying. See, this is why I don't like certain wrestlers, because one interview they say, I never touched that stuff, brother. And then, when they be like, yeah, I was doing lines of cocaine with the Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan in Japan, brother. Man, listen, bro.
4 or 5 in the morning. They were all the most creative minds in wrestling at that time. This is so critical and important for me to be in this room with these guys, listening and learning all these little secrets about the business, wrestling psychology. Whoa, yo, man! And I never ever look back on those days as being wasted time.
Cocaine was about as prevalent as marijuana was in the 60s. And I mean, everybody had it.
You meet somebody in the bar, you shake his hand, and as soon as you shake his hand, he'd squeeze a 8-ball of cocaine into your hand, and basically it was like a starter kit. Don't worry, it's on us. They give it to you and tell you that we'll get you down the road sometime. You're gonna pay me back. Adrian went hard every night. Every night. If you looked up party animal in the dictionary, there'd be a picture of Adrian Adonis. The problem with cocaine was how it could turn around and become a monster in a short time.
No shit!
You're sitting at home watching soap operas in the middle of the afternoon, and you're going, it's all over.
Adrian Adonis!
Joining the WWF roster during its 1980s golden age.
Look at that motherfucking lineup. You had Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Hacksaw, and Adrian Adonis all in the same fucking ring on a Thursday night. That needs to come back. I was watching wrestling the other day and I seen all the superstars on one night, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin was the champion, double champion. He was the tag team champion, and he had the Austin Skull belt, right? And he started the match off. They don't do that no more. They don't let champions start the match off. So I think motherfuckers need to check their egos from now on, because that's what's fucking killing wrestling.
Adrian Adonis seems destined for greatness. But behind the curtain, the trappings of success begin to take a toll.
Listen, all of these wrestlers are coked the fuck out. Where is the wellness policy? Where are all these drugs? Because now, it had to be because of back in the days. I don't know when they started this drug policy, but bro.
There was a lot of wrestlers that were strung out on cocaine. And we started to realize it wasn't the friendly drug that we all thought. When we first started snorting it, it's a bad drug that you gotta wean yourself off of and stay away from. Me and Jim Neidhart, we had the white flag up. We have nothing left in the tank. Can't do any more drugs and late nights. I kind of stopped partying with everybody because it was just too much.
They were all cokeheads. Don't let nothing fool you. They were all partiers. There wasn't nobody in that business, maybe a few, you could probably get 1 out of 100 who wasn't a partier. I mean, it was nothing but a party. They entertained, had a good time, but they partied.
I remember one night, I just had the rest of my beer, and I was going to bed, and I heard this knock on the door. So I opened the door, here's Adrian. And he says, God damn it, Jimmy, I'm going to kill myself. Take this bag of cocaine and keep it for me. I said, okay, and about 4.5 hours later, I hear bam, bam, bam at the door, and I thought, what the heck, it's like...
This better not be that nigga, boy. This better not be Adrian, bro. Because if it is, I'ma curse this nigga the fuck out, bro. If this nigga's calling me for the fucking coke, bro.
5 in the morning, he's opened the door and Adrian's fit to be tied. He says, Brenzy, where's the goddamn coke? You said you better not have taken any. And I gave it to him and out.
My nigga, you wake me up out of my fucking sleep to give me your fucking bag because you about to kill yourself, my nigga, and then you come back 4.5 hours later talking about you want your bag? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Flush that shit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm going back to sleep, man.
But he went.
Get the. That just pissed me off, bro, because I had a situation like that back in the days where motherfucking the shorty told me to hold her shit down until the next morning. Literally. Bitch was knocking on my door the whole fucking night, and I was acting like I was asleep until I couldn't no more, and then I opened the door, and then she made up a whole fucking story. I hate crackheads.
I just remember thinking, his wife has no idea. I doubt he ever does stuff like that at home. And when he was with his wife, he was a completely different guy. Talk about Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know if there's anybody that I know of that was more of a devoted, loving family man that loved his wife, loved his kids. The way he talked to his wife was like she was like an angel.
All say that. All these wrestlers say that they love, that they were total different people. I believe it because I'm a different person when I'm around my wife and my dogs and stuff like that. But dog, all right, you know, you a wrestler. You have a lifestyle. I'm pretty sure you niggas was going home to beat your bitches. You showered them with gifts, but not all of you niggas was this, you know what I mean, this nice family guy, okay? Let's be real. We don't all come home and we're all fucking happy-go-lucky to our kids and we love our wives, even when we do. Especially if we making a certain amount of money. So all of this, they passed. So let me talk highly of them. No, like, yo, bro, he used to go home, you know, cheat on his wife, beat her, fuck her, then he hit the road. You know, he barely spoke to his kids, gave his kids, you know, he gave his kids the best life, but he really didn't fuck with them. That's why he was on the road. He didn't fuck with his family, bro. That's why it was so easy for him to be a fucking superstar.
Your chair out and slide it back in when she sat down. It's like he was such a gentleman. I almost thought it was a put on at first.
I was 19 when we met. I knew what I was getting into with him. I think to have that strong bond with the wrestler, you really love each other. This was his dream, and I wanted it for him.
You still want something.
And it was B. Frankie Hall, and I was married to Adrian Adonis. Home life, that was different. He was definitely not the same as you would see in the ring. No, he was a very gentle, kind, loving, flowers, jewelry, sweet, sweet man. I would wake up and he'd have breakfast made for me and bring it to me in bed.
They had such a close relationship, even though he was gone a lot of the time, but he would call several times a day. She's, you know, always, I remember her talking about the collect phone calls, the bills would be outrageous. And they just had a really good relationship. I mean, their personalities meshed well. I'm Gina Vanta, and Adrian Adonis was my father.
Thought I was the coolest kid ever. I had a Pee Wee Herman signed poster that he got for me.
She looked like Ricky Lake.
I am Angela Freitas, and I am the oldest daughter of Adrian Adonis.
She looked like a man.
Watching Three Stooges, was something that he loved to watch. It was always on when he was home. In his big bag that he would take on the road, there was always just presents, gifts. We were going to have fun. Dad was home.
I think I was a good wife. He trusted me totally. I never screwed around. I never asked questions. I think we had an awesome relationship. I cannot get mad at that man. I cannot.
It sounds like this whole family is a materialistic type of family. Because, right, the first thing she said was he always, you know, gave gifts and jewelry and this and that, and then his daughter comes on and yeah, you know, dad was this guy on TV, but he was a total different person. You know, he gave me a Pee Wee Herman autograph sign, so I was the specialist kid in the thing, and every time he used to come home, it was presents, and that's not a good father, my nigga. That's not a good father. That doesn't mean that homeboy gets the fucking achievement award by not being in your life and just giving you all the stuff that he can. You can't buy that, bro. And it seems like that's what this family is about. And the fact that you said this statement, I wasn't going to comment on it, but the fact that you said that you think you was a good wife makes me question of everything that went on. Because when you fuck with a certain person and you're making it work, if you fucking with a rock star, you have to understand that there's going to be 1 or 2 times you're going to catch an STD. You got to understand that there's going to be 1 or 2 times the nigga's going to be drunk on the couch, coked the fuck out or something like that, playing with the kids on fucking heroin. It's going to be some dark shit. And this picture right here that I just caught of her, you can tell that she's on some shit. She looks like Jake the Snake in a wig. I'm sorry. I'm just saying, like, because, you know, when I die, I'm sure that a lot of motherfuckers is going to be like, yo, he was a really good person, as I am. But I'm not. You feel me? Like, I'm not. And everybody knows that I know people. We could all be good and we could all show our faces to certain people, but my wife knows somewhat of the real me. She can tell all you motherfuckers I was a good person the whole time, but I wasn't. We all have our dark places too, don't get me wrong, but don't just sit here like the man was a motherfucking saint. We on Darkside of the motherfucking ring right now, man. Alright, like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to judge a man's character, and I feel like, yo, you know, like, this is my opinion. But you placing this on the internet, and I'm just being the judge. I'm just going off of what you saying and how you presenting yourself and how everything went down. And so far as she's like, homeboy was a hustler from fucking Buffalo that was gonna make anything work. He was gonna do anything he had to do, man. The nigga was he was a 10-toe down nigga, and you probably was a real bitch at that time. You still, I don't know. Let's continue watching.
Despite his stable home life, Adrian's cocaine addiction causes his in-ring style.
He was on cocaine. That's pretty much all I gotta say. People that's on cocaine usually aren't the greatest people. I'm just saying. I never heard a great cocaine story. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. Like, I've never heard of that. And then you was in it deep, brother. Like,
to become even more vicious, ultimately damaging his reputation backstage.
Well, he was edgy. I mean, he was edgy. He had a temper.
You'll see the sadistic amount of Adrian now. If I know Adrian, he's going to get real nasty right now.
Coked up Adrian Adonis would be very, very rough on guys, and if they complain, it's like, well, you're not tough enough for this business, get out.
Wow, lock behind those days.
The thing about all those kind of things is every dog has his day. There's always going to be somebody that can whip your butt sooner or later.
My goodness.
In 1985, Vince McMahon decides that Adrian's character needs a dramatic makeover. From New York City tough guy to something completely different.
You look a whole lot different.
When Vince took over in '84, it was more and more about colorful characters. It was not as much about tough guys. You know, everybody had to have a gimmick. And that Adrian Adonis gimmick he didn't see as a main event gimmick. A New York tough guy thing.
The leather jacket is going to be retired.
Weighing 281 pounds, the adorable Adrian Adonis.
There are certain things that defy description.
The idea of the gay character. That was not super common, but it was absolutely there, you know, starting with Gorgeous George. So, of course, you know, when something is successful in wrestling, everybody copies it. So he went from, the Adrian Adonis, black leather, New York tough guy thing. And then they started doing vignettes where he was, you know, embracing his other side.
May the Rockets eat your heart out.
I'll tell you, when they made him dress up with the perfume thing and is a homosexual, None of us liked it, but we understood it.
He was too good to be doing what McMahon wanted him to do. But up there, that's the way he had to survive.
They do not approve, apparently.
If he had to do that, he had to have a gimmick. He had to be this big, like, gorgeous George for Vince to give him any credit.
Vince is an asshole. So Vince was like, you want to play a tough guy? You want to be a real tough guy, pal? You're gonna be a queer. Like, yo, Vince is a sick individual. Like, sick as fuck. Like, the nigga's mind, like, is gone, bro. And we don't even know it. Everybody's just like, he's a fucking genius. How do you spell crazy? G-E-N-I-U-S. Motherfucking Vince McMahon is a clown.
When he's out on the town that he's a gay blade, I don't know. What are we saying here?
I don't know that Adrian liked the idea at first, but I think he did a quick turnaround. You know what? I'm going to just prove to you that I can do it, that I'm not talented, that I can take something as stupid as that and make it work, and I'm going to prove that to you.
In May of 1986, Adrian is set to wrestle a relative newcomer to the business.
I was scheduled to work with Adrian because Adrian is getting ready.
I thought that was Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro. Now right there, that nigga look like Hulk Hogan.
For a run with Hogan.
Chicken champion Hulk Hogan. Let me tell you something, Adonis.
So they give Adrian people to beat up and be impressive with. I was kind of looking forward to it because Adrian, you know, was one of the main guys. Hi everyone, my name is Dan Spivey, formerly known as Dangerous Dan Spivey.
Spivey looking absolutely...
Looking like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk
The
Hogan.
wrestling business, I've probably only been in there a little over a year. I guess Adrian thought I was just some young guy, easy, big guy. I was always quiet, didn't have much to say, and so I guess he took that as weakness, and he was wrong.
Pitted against Spivey, Adrian will learn just how wrong he was in a match that will change his life forever.
He just exploded. All of a sudden, he let off and he hit him in the head with a left hook. So I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch.
Adrian Adonis is set to wrestle and defeat Dan Spivey, solidifying his position as one of the top villains in the company.
Of course, I had in the back of my mind that he was also a tough guy, and, you know, I heard that he would take advantage of guys, so I had mixed feelings about wrestling. And sure enough, got in the ring, he started kicking me really hard, calling me a stupid son of a bitch, you know, and just abusing the shit out of me.
Wasted no time in taking advantage of the inexperience of the Golden Boy.
I was pissed after the match. And I was going to fight him right there. And Davey Boy and Dynamite and Scott McGee grabbed my stuff. They got us a cab, got me back to the place, and got me out of the Coliseum. So the next night, we were in Flint, Michigan. It was sold out, 10,000 people. Vince says, you guys are working together. And I said, okay.
Bob Orton and I had heard there was some bad blood, and it had been building between Adrian and Danny Spivey. We were hoping that the match would get by.
He was supposed to win. Beat me with something. I don't remember what it was, but he was going over, which was expected. But he started the same shit with me again. I was on all fours. He knocked the air out of me, and then he got me in the sleeper hold, and he was really cinching down on it, and I just had enough of it. I kind of snapped. I came up swinging. I knocked him out. The referee says, Dan, that's not the finish. I said, I changed the finish. He's not going over tonight.
I fucking love it. I love it. If that's how it really went down, boy, gangster. Niggas say, yo, I know you the OG. I know you got your strays, bro, but yo, I need a little bit of respect next time. Don't ever do that shit again. Oh, you gonna keep doing that shit? I bet. Oh, you gonna? I bet. Nah, fuck that shit. Like, I ain't pussy, nigga. Like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be done.
So Bob and I run into the ring because I didn't want, Danny to kill him. Please, let's go back to the locker room.
Everybody was going crazy running around the dressing room. I'm still pissed.
And then all of a sudden, the door opens up. And Adrian is coming. He starts talking to Danny, like he was going to apologize or something. And then he goes to leg dive Danny. Spivey, he's a quiet guy. If you poke a dog a number of times, he's going to bite your ass. You can imagine a guy 6'7", 280 pounds, throwing a punch from down by his knee, an uppercut. Lifted Adrian up in the air, and Adrian came down like a walrus. Boom! And he just rolled his eyes back, and you could see his cheekbone. The white part of the bone was sticking through the skin. They called an ambulance and they took him to the hospital, and nobody saw Adrian again for, it had to be a couple weeks.
I wish it would have been different, but I had to protect myself and protect my reputation. Anyway, I got fired about a month later. Let go.
I kind of felt bad for him. I had a Sting getting his ass whipped in front of everybody. All the wrestlers that watched him.
When you're a guy that everybody fears and that happens to you kind of lose a little bit of face and I don't want to say respect, but you kind of lose something when that happens, yeah.
And it was horrible for Adrian because I don't think he ever really recovered from that.
Humiliated after the confrontation with Spivey, Adrian spirals further into his cocaine addiction.
Adrian was starting to show a lot of decline, and he was getting heavier, and he wasn't moving like he used to, and he wasn't the guy he used to be, and I think he knew that.
The trouble with substance abuse is when you do find time to eat, you gorge yourself and then you fall asleep. So you're eating tons of calories, and it's got no place to go except as tissue on your body.
He told me, damn, I'm reaching 300. I didn't see that. Maybe because I was his wife, I did not see that. I just saw him.
He didn't know how to stop. I don't think he knew how to change it without changing his whole life.
In May of 1987, Adrian suddenly leaves the WWF. Though the reasons are unclear, rumors backstage suggest he was fired for substance abuse.
I just know that Adrian suddenly disappeared where he wasn't on the cards anymore. I think guys like me just assume he'll be back in a few weeks.
I will say this. An ass whooping to a bully is very humbling. Whenever I would take a loss, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And I'm usually, even when I'm thinking I'm gonna lose, I always win. But when I lose, that shit hurts. In a physical fight too, because I'm 6'5", 3+. Everybody expects me to win, and when you're in that moment and you see everybody around you like, oh, Johnny about to dog this dude. He about to oh, Johnny just got his ass. That hurts. It does put you in in a mental state, so I get it, but you gotta bounce back after a while. You get it took me about. I'm just letting you guys know, when you the big dog and you finally gotta take that loss, it's very hard. So, I was gonna make a joke about how dude got his ass whipped and went and cried in the car. But it hurts, man. It hurts taking a loss in general. It hurts losing. But when you're the big dog and you lose unexpectedly by the underdog, that's the little underdog, it hurts, man.
I thought for a second he may have had enough.
The next time I saw Adrian, he's 400 pounds. Him and I wrestled in Las Vegas. We thought this would be a great match.
And a twist.
We were doing an international television champion.
I think Adonis is just too big for the frame of Greg Gagne.
And we got in the ring. He was breathing so hard, we barely made 10 minutes.
Orton is trying to drag Adonis back to the ring.
We sat down in the locker room and we just talked. And I told him, I said, Jesus, Adrian, what have you done? God almighty, why don't you get back to your regular weight? You're one of the great performers of all time. This isn't you. And you know from our philosophy, be yourself, be who you are. And maybe that night woke him up a little bit.
Still only 34 years old, Adrian commits to getting back in shape, losing nearly 100 pounds over the next 6 months. Ditching the adorable one persona, he sets his sights on competing in Japan.
Life was great. Everything was great. Just a happy family. He was over happy.
I saw him in Tokyo. I ran across him at a popular place for the American guys, Guy Jeans, to eat, the steakhouse. I saw him there. I had a beer with him, shook hands, and sorry things happened the way it did, So we had a beer.
So he was grabbing the bear to hatch it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't believe it.
And I remember having dinner with him and B. He really did seem like he
sounds good, but I don't believe it.
Was getting his life together again, getting ready for a big comeback. He was at that age where he could still turn things around, reinvent himself and come back. And I don't think anyone ever thought, that's the last we'll hear of Adrian Adonis.
The last time I saw Keith was in LA in a hotel room. He had flew in from Japan. I met him that night. That morning, he was to fly out to Canada. He came back to the room to tell me goodbye a second time. He had never done that. That was our last goodbye, the last time I saw him alive.
Leaving his wife in Los Angeles, Adrian departs for Canada, where his fate will intersect with a pair of veteran wrestlers known as the Kelly Twins.
I was the only survivor at that time. Quite a tragedy. Adrian Adonis, he was a tough boy, and he loved being in the ring. He was a good boy. My name's Mike Kelly, and I've been a professional wrestler for 23 and a half years with my twin brother, Pat. People have probably known me from the O. Henry commercial.
When you consider how big it is.
Back years ago, that big chunk of fudge.
It's that big chunk of fudge.
The Kelly twins were veteran wrestlers that I remember from the 60s. They worked for my dad, identical twins. You couldn't tell which one you were talking to.
This is when we were in Japan. A bunch of us sitting around a sushi bar, drinking and eating. I think this was in Tokyo. Hacksaw Higgins. I think my brother fell in love that night. Yes. We're inseparable. We enjoyed being together, doing things together. My mother always dressed us the same. If Pat had a black coat on, I'd wear a black coat. If he had brown shoes, I would wear brown shoes. We had identical diamond rings, identical watches, identical hats. We lived our life as twins. He got hurt one time, and I wasn't there, and I knew something was wrong. I says, my brother's hurt. I could feel it. We had that special bond, which was good for us.
So how did you get the call to do the Newfoundland tour?
We were working around Toronto. Dave McKigney, the promoter, he had called, asked us if we wanted to come down to Newfoundland, and I said, well, yeah, we'll come down and wrestle for you. So we packed up our van and drove down with my brother and I, and Adrian Adonis come in from Japan. The main event was Adrian Adonis with the Bearman against my brother and I.
Dave McKigney was a journeyman wrestler who promoted shows, and his gimmick was that he had a bunch of bears living at his house that he trained to wrestle. So that's where he got the name the Bearman.
Dave was a complete old school guy. He was a good person and a good promoter and one of the best payoff men ever. My name is Ricky Soulman Johnson. I borrowed the name from my brother, Rocky Johnson, actually, because we were partners for a long time and he passed away, so I...
Is this The Rock's uncle? You must have did something where niggas just don't fuck with you, bro. Because I never heard of you. On top, I never heard of you. The Rock never shows no love. And that nigga show love to everybody, bro. Where the fuck you come from, bro?
Decided to honor him by using his nickname. Bearman stores were almost like a traveling circus. We had gadgets, bears. It was something for everyone.
Dave the Bearman, he owned the Wrestling Bear, Terrible Ted. It's kind of a rib when the promoter tells you you're wrestling the Wrestling Bear tonight. It's like really? Like, are you kidding me?
I wouldn't get near the bear. A bear has so much strength that, you know, it could tear you apart in less than half a minute. Actually, there was an incident with Bearman's girlfriend. Apparently she was upstairs taking a shower, and the bear had sensed it, and Bearman was working in the garden. And the bear had actually came up into the bathroom, clawed her to death. The bear had tore her to pieces. It was a tragedy when I heard it. I just couldn't believe it. He was supposed to marry this young lady.
Despite this tragedy, McKigney continues to work with Bears on his next tour. An 8-week trek across Newfoundland with a troupe of wrestlers that includes the Kelly Twins, Ricky Johnson, and Adrian Adonis.
It was great. Everybody was happy. Everybody was making money. And the people in Newfoundland were so very nice to us. We were in Gander, Newfoundland. The next night, we had to wrestle in Lewisport, Newfoundland. The mayor of Lewisport owned the hotel in Gander, a Holiday Inn. It's hard to talk about. And he asked, would any of the wrestlers come to Lewisport that night that we were off, because they'd like to throw a party for us.
July 4th, 1988, he had called me 3 times. And the last phone call he made to me, he said, I'm getting ready to get on a ferry. I just want to tell you I love you. And he just said, call me later, honey, call me later.
Adrian got in Pat's van, the Canadian Wild Man. He got in the van with the Kellys. And I was just getting ready to climb in, and Phil blew his horn. He said, why don't you come with me? So I said, sure, that's cool. Adrian, the Wild Man, and the Kelly Twins were 10, 15 minutes ahead of us, I guess. Me and Phil Whipper Watson Jr. and Little T were just riding down the road, having a few laughs. Everything was all backed up and going like 2 miles an hour. So I said to Phil, must have been an accident. Traffic like this in Newfoundland, you know. And then I looked over into the water and I seen a red van in the water. It's an image that'll never leave my mind.
That's wild.
From the network that took you to the dark.
Daylight as it is at noon. Pure daylight. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. It freaked me right out. It looks like a desert out there, actually. We had to go around these big rocks. We just barely got through with our van. We were going down the highway and I saw a little bear cub My brother, the reflection of the sun caught the side of his eye, and he had swerved to the left where the grass was. The van had gotten down in a little gully and hit this huge rock dead on. And I fainted. And I woke up and I felt this water was ice cold. I just wondered what had happened. Like, why am I in this stream? Then finally, I saw my brother behind the wheel, slouched on the steering wheel. He had passed away.
Damn.
I could tell right away. Yeah, it was horrifying.
And, give me a minute, please.
What happened?
I seen the van in the water, and I said, that looks like the Kelly's van. I knew it well. I went down there with him in it, so.
Adrian Adonis was in bad shape. He was in real bad shape. The Bearman died instantly.
Adrian, he was moaning, help me, help me, help me. I remember Adrian's elbow, all you could see was the bone sticking out of it. I remember thinking, like, we got to save them, but there was no saving them.
Damn.
It was 4th of July, so, we were celebrating with all my cousins in Bakersfield. And I do remember we had just like a little get-together.
I have a cousin that's scared to death of fireworks, so my other cousin went in to check, answered the phone. They asked for Miss Frankie, but I just remember she came out screaming out of the house. He was passed. He was dead.
They said Keith has been killed. He was killed in an auto accident. I said, put Dave on the phone, Dave McKinney. They said, he's dead. I said, put one of the Kelly twins on. I don't know, you put someone on. And then the RCMP called me that night. And he was gone. The first few days after his passing, I was still in shock. I did not want to believe it.
Dead is former WWF star adorable Adrian Adonis. Also killed was Pat Kelly on the left. His twin brother, Mike, on the right, was the only survivor of the crash.
His brother was your best friend.
Oh, yes. We were half an hour apart, and he was very close to me. Where he went, I followed behind. Where I went, he followed behind. We were inseparable.
Whole world changed, yeah. In more ways than one, because a couple of road guys that worked for Dave McKagney, the Bearman, they jumped in the water also, and they robbed Adrian.
Wait,
they took his money, watch, whatever valuables he had.
They were arrested, and yes, I did want to press charges. Just to the fact that why rob a dead man?
Wow.
Yeah, we went to a motel in Lewisport. We went to the bar. Some of the guys, just to relax, they wanted to shoot pool. So they had a couple of drinks. That somebody had said, they're all dead. And like it just hit them. Next thing I know, I just seen stuff flying and glasses were flying. Then all hell just broke loose. I remember seeing the manager of the motel. He was just standing off to the side against the wall with a pen and paper. He gave us a bill the next morning. I think it was $12,000 for the damage. The next day, we drove by the scene of the accident. Some guys were praying, some were crying, and CBC came. And they wanted to know if booze was involved and stuff. We told them to off, get away from us. Don't you realize what happened here?
Though it's never been proven, some have suggested that the accident that killed wrestlers Adrian Adonis, Dave McKigney, and Pat Kelly resulted from drinking and driving.
Oh, for sure.
I don't like to think Keith dying like that. They probably were coming from a wrestling match, partying, having a good time.
No drugs, no alcohol. The doctors had checked all that on me, and that there was no...
On you?
Nobody was drinking in the van?
Definitely not. No, definitely not. I keep a photo of him in my wallet at all.
That's sad as fuck. I don't know, man. To say that a glare takes your eye off the road that long for you to swerve in front of a big old rock that takes you out, and then that damage. Nah, bro. The damage to the car looked like, something out of a... I don't know if you was, because he clearly said no, doctors checked me. But what about Adonis and this dude? Adonis was heavy in that. So, you know what I mean?
Times. I have photos of him in my bedroom. Yeah, he was my life. But things have to go on.
By the grace of God, it could be you, because you never know. We're on the road every night. Guys were drinking a 12-pack of beer, smoking, joints and snorting coke and driving 100 miles an hour. And nobody got killed.
Here's a guy doing the right thing, and he ends up dying in a tragic accident. When all of us guys are out here doing the wrong shit, and we're still alive. How does that balance out? I guess God was right, the good die young. And Keith was one of the best. He was one of my closest friends, even though we were miles apart. I was in a federal prison in Texas. When he died, I was in custody, so I wasn't able to go to the funeral.
I remember B telling me that he was so big that nothing could ever hurt him. I remember thinking the same thing, like he was indestructible.
The whole funeral was a blur. It really didn't hit me until later. They bought the home while he was in Japan. And this closet in this new home, I had his jacket with the New York emblem. That was the only thing in that closet. I don't know who put it there. I could just smell him. Everything came flooding back, and that's when it really hit me. I took that damn jacket and I went to bed. And that was the finality of it. He was never coming home. Ever.
I think your brother would be pretty proud of what it turned out to be.
Yes, he sure would. You gotta stay strong. And that's the way I've lived my life after my brother had passed. And I'll just keep going. We'll do the best we can. Right. That's all we can do.
Adrian Adonis was a very, very talented guy, and I don't think he ever got the due for his talent that he should have, just because it was not an era where people really recognized that. Like, if a guy with the talent of Adrian Adonis was around today, everybody would know how good he is, and he would be a big, big star.
No, he wouldn't. He'll be a jobber in WWE.
He should be honored. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer, without a doubt.
I think that if Adrian hadn't been in that accident, I don't think it's impossible to think that 5 years later, in WrestleMania, Bret Hart versus Adrian Adonis. Like, who knows? I would want him to know how much I appreciate all the little bits of advice and encouragement that he gave me all through my career, and just the friendship that I had. I learned so much from him.
All right.
Because I see some of that when he wrestles, and I'm like...
All right, guys. So there you have it. Dark side of the ring. I know that shit was glitching the whole time. I already seen it. I can see it now. It's glitchy. Yeah, man. I mean, that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes, man. So that one was. I wasn't really dark. They could have opened up with that one, but you know, R.I.P. to Adrian and the twin that died that day. That was. It got me a little choked up at the end because, you know, people lost people. You know, if it was drunk driving or if it was an accident, it doesn't really matter. But yeah. Let me know what y'all guys think about that one, man. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. High Flying Podcast with your boy Big Bag Johnny. We gonna do more of these. Hopefully, I'm gonna figure everything out by myself. So.